All right, today we're going behind the curtain of our digital world, but not into the code, no. We're going into the concrete and steel. We're going to explore the absolutely wild physical security that guards the cloud, and you'll see just how tough it is to crack into one of these digital fortresses.
So think about it for a second. When you post a photo, when you save a file to the cloud, where does it actually go? I mean, physically. Because it's not just floating around up there in the sky, it lives somewhere very, very real.
The answer? A data center. And look, these are not just some boring warehouses full of computers. They're basically modern-day fortresses, designed with a kind of security that's just on another level. Honestly, a medieval king would be jealous.
So how do they do it? The whole philosophy is called defense in depth, and the best way to picture it is like an onion. The idea is simple, but it's incredibly powerful. An attacker can't just pick one lock. They have to peel back layer after layer after layer of protection to get anywhere near the prize.
And usually there are 5 of these layers, or rings. You start way out at the property line. That's the perimeter. Then you move in through the building itself, the hardened shell. Then you have to get through controlled interior zones, then into the super secure data hall, and finally, all the way down to the individual server rack itself. Every single layer has its own job and its own unique set of defenses.
So to really wrap our heads around this, let's, put on our bad guy hats for a minute. We're going to try to break in. We'll go layer by layer and see exactly what we'd be up against.
First thing we hit, the perimeter. And the goal here is pretty simple. Keep absolutely everyone out. We are talking tall anti-climb fencing. We're talking K-rated bollards. And what that means is they are literally certified to stop a 15,000-pound truck in its tracks. The whole place is lit up like a stadium, and signs everywhere are making one thing crystal clear. You are being watched.
Okay, let's say we somehow get past the fence. Now we have to deal with the building itself, the hardened shell. This is not your typical office building. We're up against reinforced concrete walls, maybe even ballistic glass. If we could even get into the lobby, we'd find security guards and optical turnstiles designed to stop you from sneaking in behind someone. Oh, and the whole show is being monitored from the Security Operations Center, the SOC, which is probably right there in the building.
Now here's where it gets really interesting. Even if you were an employee, even if you had a badge that gets you in the front door, it doesn't mean you can just wander around. Nope. The inside is chopped up into secure zones. Your movement is controlled by card readers on practically every door. You're on camera everywhere, and you have to pass through these special security corridors called man-traps. Think of them like airlocks, but for people.
If, by some miracle, we've made it this far, we're standing at the door to the heart of the fortress, the data hall. Some people call it the white space. Getting in here requires the absolute highest level of security. Your keycard is basically useless. Here you're going to face biometric scanners, reading your fingerprint, maybe even the iris in your eye. And trying to tail someone in? Forget it. It's physically impossible thanks to things like floor-to-ceiling turnstiles.
And even after all of that, we're still not actually at the data. Inside the data hall, the servers themselves are locked up in these big metal cabinets. Every single rack has its own lock. Sometimes it's a regular key, other times it's a smart electronic handle that logs every single time it's opened and by who. This is the last line of defense, preventing anyone from physically touching a hard drive.
So those are the layers, the onion. But what's the big idea that connects them all? It's not just a random pile of security gear. There's a master plan, a strategy, built on 4 really simple but really effective concepts.
People in the biz call these the 4 Ds of physical security. First, you want to deter an attack before it even starts. That's what your big fence and your warning signs are for. If that doesn't work, you have to detect the intrusion the second it happens, with sensors and alarms. Next, you delay the attacker. You slow him down with heavy locks and reinforced doors. And all of that is just to buy you enough time for the final D, to deny access, which usually means a security guard showing up to say hello.
And this all boils down to one golden rule. It's an actual formula, and it's kind of the secret to this whole thing. The total time you can delay an intruder has to be greater than the time it takes to detect them, plus the time it takes for security to respond. If your delay time beats your detection and response time, the bad guy loses, every single time.
So let's look at one piece of tech that just perfectly captures this entire strategy, the man trap. It's basically a little room with a door on each end. And the trick is, you can never have both doors open at the same time. It's a simple idea, but it's a masterclass in putting the 4 Ds to work.
So here's how it goes down. You use your badge or whatever to open the first door. You step inside and it slams shut and locks behind you. Now you're trapped.
You're isolated. Inside, sensors detect if you're the only one in there. If you are, you authenticate again to open the second door. This whole process, it creates a delay. And what if the sensors see a second person trying to sneak in with you? Well, that second door just isn't going to open. Access is denied. The design itself deters anyone from even trying to sneak in. See? All 4 Ds in one little box. Okay, so let's put it all together now. Let's see how the layers and this whole 4D strategy actually work together in a real scenario to stop an intruder dead in their tracks.
Our intruder sees all the warning signs, all the deterrents, and decides to go for it anyway. They jump the outer perimeter fence.
But the second they touch that fence, a vibration sensor trips. The clock starts now. An alarm flashes in the Security Operations Center. The guards know exactly where the breach happened. That's our detect function, right on cue.
The intruder is on the property now. They're sprinting, making a beeline for the nearest entrance door.
But then they hit the next layer, a reinforced steel door. It's locked up tight, you can't just kick it in. Trying to force it would take tools and, more importantly, time that they just don't have. This is the crucial delay. It's buying precious seconds for the response team that's already on the way.
And right there, that's the golden rule in action. The time the intruder wasted fighting with that door, the delay, was way longer than the time it took to detect them at the fence and respond. The end result? Access denied. Game over.
When you think about it, the difference is just staggering. Without all these layers, an intruder might literally just walk right up to a server rack. But with defense in depth, the asset, your data, is kept safe long before an attacker can even see it, let alone touch it.
It's an incredible amount of work, right? All this engineering, all this strategy, just to protect physical machines. It really leaves you with a final kind of mind-bending thought. If this is the fortress we have to build just to protect the hardware, what kind of fortress does it take to protect the software that's running on it?